What's up, everyone? Shifting Lanes here. Gregson, Hanson, Chad. You know us. You've seen our videos. If you haven't, you suck. So go watch our stuff. We just got off our Facebook Live video with this car. This is the Cadillac ATS 2.0T. T stands for turbo. We have a 6-speed manual. We have a nice back road. We're going to do a nice drive, and we're going to do a group drive for you. So let's disengage the parking brake. Let's turn this stupid music off, and let's go.
You didn't say that a couple seconds ago. So,
I know, because I love that music, but I don't want to get any copyright infringement on my ass.
That's a good point.
And we pull out right behind a Hyundai. Awesome.
Oh, perfect.
Oh wait, no, it's a Chevy. Oh wait, no,
that's
it's a Kia.
Elantra.
Wait, nope, it's a Hyundai. They all look the same. So anyways, this car is what I have been driving since last Tuesday. Today is Saturday. It is an awesome car. I really enjoy it, but the real point of this is to get all three of our opinions on it. And so far, when I've been driving it in the driver's seat, it is a fantastic car. I love this car. It rides very well. It handles better than anything in the segment. I can say that with fact. I've driven almost everything in the segment except the A4 and S5, but I've been a passenger in both of those cars. This thing blows them out of the water. The chassis dynamics, the driving dynamics, the handling of this car is second to none in class. If I had the money to buy something in class, this would be it right now. But that doesn't mean that this car is without flaws, and I'll go into that in the article. But for the driving part of it, I freaking love it. I think it's amazing. Wheel feels nice. It's got a 6-speed manual, and there's an E-Type
nice.
Jag.
Awesome.
You probably just caught that on the cam outside. Little treat for us and you. The clutch pedal's a little springy. It takes some getting used to, but it's not unapproachable. It is smooth. There are two drive settings here: Tour and Sport. Tour does lighten up the steering a lot. Sport gives it a bit of a heavier feel. You feel a bit more connected. And Sport, you can definitely tell in parking lots when you're in Sport versus Tour mode, because Tour is nice and light.
Yeah.
Sport, you got to wrench it in a parking lot.
Sure.
So you can absolutely tell that the two modes are very different in this car, and they do weight up the steering nicely. I do like that.
Because a lot of cars have a sport button, and when you press it, you can't actually tell what's going on, what's different about it.
Great.
So it's nice to see that. Power-wise, what are we talking about here?
So we have 272 horsepower and a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo car, and 4-liter 2-cylinder. Yeah. The most ridiculous engine. The most ridiculous engine ever produced.
It's a 2-stroke, believe it or not.
Yeah, you gotta fill it up with oil and gas.
And the boxer.
No, 4-cylinder, 2 liters. We got one turbo, so yeah, single turbo, and it's got some grunt, honestly. It's, I believe the 0 to 60 figures are between 5.5 and 6 seconds, and it feels just as fast. It feels faster than the Camaro we drove, which has the same engine.
That's right.
And had a 0 to 60 5.5, I want to say?
5.5 to
5.5, yep.
Yeah.
I think that this would have a similar figure, and feels faster.
Yeah,
to me.
This is the same platform, the Alpha platform, by the way, as the Camaro. So cut to that group drive.
I'll see when I drive.
The G meter is built in there.
Oh, there's a G meter?
There's a G
Sweet.
meter, exactly.
Awesome. 28 G's?
Yes, 28 G's.
Nice. So my eyeballs just got sucked out of the car.
And back. And that is the same platform, so same engine. I'm not sure about the drivetrain transmission, but we're driving the 6-speed manual, which, thank God, finally it's here.
Cadillac, we love you. Thank you for saving the manuals. Good job. Well done. And you get the manual in the ATS V too.
That's awesome.
How great is that?
Awesome.
In a 464 horsepower car.
And I believe that has the auto rev match on that.
Yes, it does. That does have auto rev match.
We have driven that before in another event.
If you're in the market for an M3/M4, you should not wait and get the ATS V. We have a full review of that up on the website, actually. Click somewhere down here for it. And it's an awesome driver's car. I mean, if you watched the Facebook Live video, you heard me talk about this. For some reason, Cadillacs aren't selling, and it's probably a lot to do with the fact that when you think Cadillac, you think the old luxury ushering people through the pearly gates kind of thing. It's not that way anymore, man. No. Cadillacs are right on par with the Germans. I mean, this interior is phenomenal. The infotainment system is every bit as good as something you'd find out of, you know, Bavaria. And, you know, and the engines are right there. I mean, they're right there. They're not old. They're not year-old technology or anything like that. They're cutting edge. I mean, think about it. 270 horsepower out of a 2-liter, and it's just a motor. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, they're there. If you're in the market for a sports luxury sedan, you'd be doing yourself a disservice by not at least test driving a Cadillac.
Right. I think that, honestly, for my money, I would have this car over any German.
I'm the same way.
I haven't driven a Lexus IS. The new IS is very divisive. A lot of people in journalism, they don't like it. They either don't like it or they think it needs more. I haven't driven it. I can't speak to that car, so don't take my opinion on that. But anything out of Germany in this class, I'm still going to go drive. I will. I'll go test drive it. You know, you should shop around, but you should drive this last, because you're going to drive this last and you're going to buy it. In my opinion, I think that this is the best car in the sports sedan class money can buy currently.
And you know what? You know, I mentioned earlier in the Facebook Live video, I have a feeling that Cadillac has kind of a chip on their shoulder because they've been out of the luxury sports sedan race for many decades.
Right.
And in 2012, they came out with the ATS. So it's 2016 now. You know, they've got 4 years to tool around with it. And again, I have a feeling we should drive this, the Audi A4 and the BMW 328 back to back to really see who's better. But the ATS
and then Audi
now,
and BMW. Let's do this.
Let's do that, BMW and Audi. Send us some cars and we'll drive them for you. But
be more than happy to.
The Cadillac is now, if you walk around outside, it's I think we're seeing what a American design ethos is like, and you see it in the Cadillac. It's distinctly American, and it looks gorgeous. So
it does.
I think those three cars are going to be so evenly matched that it's going to come down on looks. And then now I think the Cadillac ATS has the looks department down.
It does. It, in my opinion, again, driving aside, I think it looks the best in class.
Yeah.
You know, BMW has legendary looks. It's fine. Audis haven't changed a lot in the last like 15 years, which is good because they're good-looking cars. Mercedes, the new C-Class Mercedes, I'm honestly not a huge fan of. It does look cool in C63 garb and attire, but for me, this car looks the best. It's that angular look. It's got the teardrop headlights coming back into the body panels.
Yeah.
It's just super cool looking, and it makes you want to drive, and it makes you want to, you know, take it out on a Saturday and drive it, even though it's just a sedan that's 10 minutes up.
Well, initial thoughts on the acceleration, it does feel like a 275 horsepower car. You know, it's not lightning quick, but it'll get the job done for, again, almost 99% of the vehicle, of the vehicle's life, of whatever you need.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, back in the day, 4 cylinders were like, oh, you know, they'll last 100,000 miles, but you know, they're not one that will last.
Yeah.
Well, like back in the day, you could get this kind of power output from a 4-cylinder meant just buckets of lag,
Right.
and that's just not really a thing.
Right.
Just through that little section, it had a lot of grip, and again, like a lot of torque low end, which is nice. Again, I think I was around 3,500 most of the time, which is pretty high for a turbocharged vehicle. But you know, it felt pretty capable. Lots of grip. I kind of felt the rear was going to just break loose a little bit, but
it was
poised. Well, we're on public roads and there's a car in front of me and it was a blind turn. When I sit here, I look at the interior and I no longer think about this being an old person's car, because Cadillac, you know, came out like a decade ago with the first CTS, and that was like so sharp looking, so different looking than the old Cadillacs. And then now, you know, many years later, like we see what the new branding is all about. You know, there's no like old-fashioned knobs or whatever. You get an old person sitting in here and they're going to be so confused that they're just going to step out.
It doesn't feel like recycled Chevy parts like it did.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
So, actually, I'm gonna go on like a 1 or 2 minute rant based on that. Here's the problem.
Yes.
Everyone continues to come into this car and think, oh, this is still GM parts bin. That is not an acceptable argument for Cadillac anymore, and it kind of bothers me because everyone does parts bin, quote unquote, stuff. Audi and VW swap parts in their cars constantly. You see parts in a 3 Series BMW that are in the i8 now. You see parts that are in the X5 that are in, you know, anywhere else in the BMW lineup. You see the same thing happening with Mercedes. The S-Class interior is the same as the C-Class interior. So the whole argument of GM parts bin is a total bullshit cop-out argument to me. And if you climb into this car or a Cadillac now and think it's cheap, you have an incredibly jaded worldview, honestly. Because if you can climb into this car and honestly tell me that this feels cheap, there's something wrong with your entire opinion on interiors of cars. Nothing in here feels cheap at all.
That's true.
The leather feels supple. It feels comfortable. All right, the Q system, not everyone likes the Q system. Whatever, learn it. It's fine. It's a great system that if you just take 5 minutes to learn it, like a Windows or Mac, you'll know exactly how to work it. The piano black looks great. You do get fingerprints on it, but that's fine. Chad, I do agree with you a little bit on the chrome. I would like a little bit cleaner kind of design without the chrome on the center console there. But you know what? Everything else in here feels like an upscale BMW quality, Mercedes quality, Audi quality sedan. Honestly.
Yeah. I think to summarize what Greg is trying to say there is get the goddamn silver spoon out of your ass and open your eyes.
Well, you know what? Yeah, you step inside here and it's true. Nothing feels cheap. Step inside a Buick and you really feel the cost cutting.
Well, and that's kind of where, that kind of basically is where Cadillac was when they kind of did their initial redesign.
Right.
They had that very similar kind of feel to it.
Right.
And I mean, but let me put it to you this way, Hanson.
This road here?
You're coming.
Yeah, we'll turn around the park here.
You're coming right out of a BMW, a relatively recent BMW, and things of that nature, and you know, are you itching to run back, or like, you know, because I think you, of all people, were probably the _1. I don't want to say GM hater, but you were real
That's
cautious.
right. I mean, you know, not a big fan. I mean, my mind has changed as of late, but compared to, you know, just because I've driven this maybe now for about 5-10 minutes. Do I want to go running back
here in these spots?
On these spots.
Sorry.
Do I want to go back running into the 3 Series? Yeah, because I see what they're trying to do here, and they've obviously used the 3 Series as a benchmark to develop this, but
as everyone should. Yeah.
But you know, BMW has had so many years ahead. They're so ahead in the race that they've got this formula down perfect. So I think maybe another 5 years, then maybe I'll consider this. But right now, I'm going to go running back to the BMW.
Idiot. Why are you doing that?
I found the shifter position is a little bit misplaced, I think. Or perhaps
it's too low.
It's too low.
Too high, or
it's too low. Basically, this car is awesome, honestly. I'm a huge fan of this car. And you can hear the engine sounds great.
Why are you vibrating, seat? I know there's a Camry in front of me.
It's the Camry.
That's actually an Avalon.
Oh, who gives a fuck? It's boring Japanese boringness.
But
should have a 2JZ in it.
But not all Japanese is boring. Because 2JZ.
Yes.
And S2000.
Please send us cars, Toyota. Don't take that as like a word on you.
In fact, send us a GT86. We already had an FRS, but we want to see if there's any different.
Brakes work.
Yeah, brakes are awesome. And interesting to note about the brakes, the Cadillac does not offer carbon ceramic brakes in any of their products that have a V badge in the ATS line. So the ATS, they're all steel brakes.
So you're talking even up to the, are you talking just V Sport or the actual V Series?
The V Series ATS does not, they don't offer carbon ceramics at all. And a story that I was told was these guys that came off and did a track day with the ATS-V, they came out of Ferraris, 458 Speciale. This guy walked out of his 458 Speciale, goes on track with the ATS-V, and comes back off the track and goes, damn, that has good brakes. That's a 458 Speciale from Ferrari.
As opposed to one from Lada.
That sounds dead far-fetched.
But that is an actual story that happened because the guy was there and the guy was talking to the person.
Well, I mean, it's you know, that could be construed out of context. They say that, damn, those are good brakes.
Right.
He just came from the Ferrari, which have phenomenal brakes, exceeding his expectations is probably where that came from.
Right.
But I mean, here's the thing. Carbon ceramic brakes make absolutely no sense in the real world. You have to heat them up. You have for them to be in their operating efficiency window. They're wildly expensive.
Correct.
I mean, everything about it just adds to that, you know, cost of ownership. And I mean, I understand if you're spending a certain amount of money, a certain amount of cost of ownership, you're okay with. But as far as just tooling around, you're very, very rarely going to be going fast enough and beating on a car long enough to get brake fade, you know, on the street.
Right.
Maybe on the maybe on the track, but even then, it wasn't up until too long ago that Daytona prototypes in IMSA or Rolex, I guess at that time, were still using steel brakes and still being fine. I mean, it's old tech, which this one hates, but you know, it's an evolution of the old tech.
Right, and the brakes in this car are fantastic, and they've evolved them to a point where they are usable on the street and can be tracked. Which, when this car originally came out, you were really, really gung ho for it. You wanted an ATS, you wanted it in this guise, you wanted it in the four-cylinder.
The 4-liter turbo.
And 4-cylinder turbo.
The 4-liter 2-cylinder.
Yeah, 4-liter 2-cylinder. The 4-cylinder turbo that we're in right now with a 6-speed manual. Those were your parameters. Has this lived up to your expectation of that mindset of the car that you really wanted when this came out?
Yes. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I've had quite a bit of seat time in these things because it has bounced around as my potential next car. You know, absolutely. And I mean, even more so getting, you know, while these guys are looking at, you know, fuel efficiency ratings, horsepower, safety features, things like that, how I prepare for these things is
speak for me, man.
Pipe down back there. How I prepare for this test drive was looking at, basically, as Hanson would say, to un-Cadillac this thing with performance parts, because that's just kind of how I operate. I can't leave well enough alone. And there's so many good performance part things out there that, you know, gets the horsepower up for shockingly little money. You know, in comparison to me having to shop for, say, my Lexus, and 2 JZ parts are still retarded expensive for no apparent reason.
Right.
This thing had a, you know, hard parts. There was a package I found from, I think, Vermont Tuning or something like that, that you could get upwards of 390, 400 horsepower, and it was $2,700. I mean, obviously you have to install that stuff, but we're only talking downpipe. You do have to take the turbo off and ship it to them. But even so, that's I mean, if you saw our Facebook Live video, I'm sure we're going to get some shots of the engine bay. The engine bay is shockingly accessible in this. I mean, obviously it's designed to fit a V6 in there, so there's a lot of room. But you know, it's something that you don't have to be an everyday mechanic to kind of put those types of parts in. And that's, you know, where my brain is at. So I'm like, as a base, excellent. As something I can wrench on, as I can tune on, even better. You know, and that's, I mean, I know what you're all looking at. Well, why not just get the ATS-V? Well, yeah, but that's $71,000 basically if you get it in the exact same trim level we have, with totally all the bells and whistles and stuff. And like I said, you're talking $2,700 in hard parts. Yeah, then to get 400 horsepower, that's a pretty killer daily driver.
It really is. So that's a yes from you.
Yeah.
Hanson, I think you had already said that you would probably go back to the BMW.
I think I'm going to go back to the BMW because I'm a little biased. I'm very comfortable with the setup, the steering setup, the placement of the manual transmission, the pedal positioning. Even though this is somewhat similar, is the gearing's slightly different, and it just feels a bit alien to me. So, like, for a car that's trying to achieve basically the same thing, it feels like a copycat that's not completely authentic. So, these cars are going to be aggressively priced, so they're going to be around the same level. So when you're shopping for a car, you're going to be test driving the 328,
right,
the ATS 2-liter turbo, also the C300 or C whatever, and
right,
perhaps the IS 250. So test drive all those cars, because I think it's going to come down to just personal preference, and each of these cars are going to be just downright amazing in terms of handling. And again, just test drive. Me personally, I'm going to go back with the quintessential luxury sports sedan, which is the 3 Series.
The Chevy 2?
For me, I would have this over everything else.
Yeah.
I would have to, I would have to, if I'm in the market for a 3 Series, C-Class, A4, or this, I'm taking this. I would need to drive the A4. I will give Audi credit that I have not driven that car in the similar spec one to this. I've been in it. It's really nice, but I would have this. The argument that I'm going to put forward is, if you're going to buy this, this is spec'd out as 58 grand. If you're in the market for a $58,000 sports sedan, just buy the V at that point. You get a much more capable car. You get 464 horsepower, and you get something that I'm going to write a different article on. It's called the Performance Traction Management System, which is unparalleled as far as I'm concerned in the world of traction management and traction in a lot of different cars, even in a lot of supercars. And I'm going to go into the technical details of it and how Cadillac actually utilizes that to make you a better driver. And at that point, you could get a base V almost for the same amount of money for that as this. Now, if you don't want that, if you're not an enthusiast as far as crazy horsepower and performance on track while you being usable in the real world, this is still the car to get. It's comfortable. It's gonna be similarly priced, but I feel like this is it's a bit more interesting. It's not to say that the other cars are dead or numb, but I feel like this one is a bit more fun. I feel like it's a bit more approachable, and I feel like people are going to come up to you on the street, which actually did happen to me today, and say, hey, what is that? Talk to me about this car. Yeah. People aren't going to come up to you in a 3 Series unless it's an M3. Sure. Doing that. This is a 2-liter turbo. And someone's like, wow, what is that? That's cool. I like that. Not that you buy the car for that, but that's a neat thing.
Yeah, but it almost brings up another point. It almost pulls off brings up another point. Yeah. In that it's, maybe you want this segment of car, but you maybe don't want a 3 Series, or
right,
you want something that's a little more stylistic. I mean, bless BMW, but their cars are somewhat boring. I mean, they're not ugly and they're still sharp looking,
right,
but it's, they're a little just boring on the exterior. This is a little more. I mean,
it's angular, it's aggressive looking.
Like, to go back and say that it's American, but it's not in your face about it, but it still gives it a little bit more of a personality as a car.
Right.
Let's face it, if you're not an enthusiast, you're not watching this.
So that's 2 yeses and a no, yeah. But I think the no does have an asterisk next to it that you would like to drive all of them back to back to make that decision. Like, it's not that you would just go beelining to BMW.
Let's be clear, like, this is an amazing car.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, like, out of 100, we're talking about 90, 92, 93. It's
right,
all on that ballpark.
Right.
So these are all amazing cars. Like, I would drive this in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Again, if cars were lined up right next to each other, I would pick something different.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so I think that'll wrap it up. There you have it. We do love this car, regardless of if we would buy it or not. This is a fantastic car. Cadillac 2 thumbs up. You have absolutely hit it out of the park with ATS. The entire platform, the V, this one, it's an amazing car and a great platform. And the Alpha platform, put everything on the Alpha platform. Just do it.
Suburban.
Put the Suburban on the Alpha platform. I agree. Who cares? Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the links below. We'll give you links to everything we talked about in the video. And go check us out on Facebook. That is our main page. It is facebook.com/shifting lanes. Check us out. Follow us on Twitter. Everywhere else, we have an Instagram as well. Check us out at @shifting lanes on Instagram. And we will catch you next time. Take care, everyone.